Hey everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to turn 80 of Pokemon Gold, where we're playing Cyanwood City. This is this is the penultimate turn. Let's jump into things. Okay, so we've got a whole lot of stuff firing off, but again, the vast majority of it doesn't matter. It's all just leading up to the next turn. So we have Research Blood 18. There's nothing next in the queue because we can't reach anything, so it doesn't matter. We don't care. Blood 18. Blood 8. Blood Magic 8. Let's refresh ourselves on this real quick. Blood Magic 8 gets us Rush of Strength, okay? So Rush of Strength is going to be a +4 strength across the entire battlefield. Pretty cool. Alright. Back to our things. We have cast Cloud Trapeze with Fulmoric, our Ampharos champion, just to get him into the mix. We have a battle in Lumbaria, and this is... We'll go ahead and watch this real quick, but this is literally just us moving our gigantic army into Violet City's territory. So, really doesn't matter. Honestly, we're probably just going to lose a bunch of people. So, what did we lose? We lost 2 Black Belts, 7 Onyx Sorceresses, 6 Polyraths, 2 Raticates, 1 Sprite, and 1 Vaporeon. So, 19. Just moving through. Just passing through. Oh, goodness gracious. Alright, we have taken control of the province of Curtainwall. And that's this one down here. Right? So we moved our big force down here and met no resistance. Okay. We have a battle in Lilidor. And so, okay, let's refresh. This has actually been like 2 weeks after the fact, so let's go to Lilidor. The Lilidor is the fortification, the Outer Throne province. Oof, my brain just, like, washed. This is the Throne of Ascension, the Outer Throne, that Pewter City controls, right? So this is one of our attacks to try to prevent Pewter City from having more Thrones of Ascension than we do at the end of the game. So, see this battle? So Pewter City really doesn't have anything here except for province defense. We've got this odd line of Magnetons and a bunch of the Fire Black Belts that have all the Pyrogues and Hitmon tops. And we've got, in the back, we've got a Lich and a Helix champion. So this is a decently sized force. Wow. Actually a decently sized force. Whoa! Wait. And the wash of undead cometh. Okay, we have a battle in Trentsbor, and this is actually us attacking into Violet City, because Violet City moved into Trentsbor. This is another Throne of Ascension, right? So this one is actually a little bit of a fight. So we've got our big mass of Machampions, our Prodigies, we've got a chunk of Mareeps on the north side, we've got a bunch of Ampharoses on the south side with a mix of Jolteons and Espeons. And then there's actually a little bit of a force here from Violet City because Violet City has just taken this province. So here's a bunch of Jolteons, some Arcanines. He's got a mix of these Shield Pidgeots and these Zatus, okay? Which are pretty cool. And he's actually got some firepower back here, some cool trainers, which are pretty good air mages. So let's watch this battle unfold. Our Ampharoses immediately start with their volleys, matched by the volleys from the Jolteons. We get a Natural Storm from the Cool Trainer. Our lines are rushing forward. Like, audio's. But it's basically, he doesn't have, neither of us really have enough mages to have this be an actual mage battle. So there's a couple of spells being slung out here or there, but mostly this is a unit battle, and I just have the bigger, superior army, and I have, like, the more OP units right now, right? My champions are very, very strong, and Prodigy Black Belts are very, very strong inherently for having champions. So in Trinspor, we actually do lose some units. We lose a Crush Girl, we lose some Black Belts, and some Mareeps. But overall, a pretty big victory, so not too bad. Nicely done. We rout Violet City and take Trinspor for ourselves. Then there's a battle in Dreyer Caverns. Now this is another Throne of Ascension, right? And this one is being attacked by 2 Steelix champions and then 3 Battle Girl Rubies. And the Battle Girl Rubies are literally just here to provide Hitmonlee support, right? They can stay behind. Their Hitmonlees immediately fly up into the air and are hopefully going to go assassinate the backline. Boom, there's the nurse gone, and hopefully they will now go for this swimmer. While the Steelixes are buffing themselves. Ooh, they did, but they didn't actually get her. Kind of funny. Now they've got her. Alright, so these Rhyhorns run right up to the Steelixes, but at this point it's route time, so it's kind of irrelevant. The Steelixes kill the Rhyhorns, and that is done. Easy peasy. There's a battle in Ecruteak City that we can watch. This is Ecruteak attacking the forces of Pewter City, and there's not really much here left. So previously, Pewter City had taken Ecruteak away from Ecruteak, but he has since famoused with a lot of his units, like his Rayquaza and his Groudon and all of those. So all he's got left here is a Tree Lord and some, like, Golem, etc., which is not going to be able to withstand all of this. Although his god, the Articuno, has flown in, don't think that's gonna work out super well for him. Man, I wish I could turn the camera sometimes when you get these big models, right? I wish I could, like, go around and see what's going on behind. I'm trying to give you guys a good picture of this situation. So this Tree Lord is getting slapped around, but it does have regeneration, and it does have a very high health pool. So it's actually going to be a little difficult for what Ecruteak has to just out and out kill it. Plus, it's putting things to sleep around it, so let's speed this up. Storm of Thorns. Panic. If it was casting not Panic, it might actually do better. Fucking Panic. I hate Panic so much. Storm of Thorns. Every time it shotguns a Storm of Thorns, it actually kills people. Oh, he's bleeding. He's bleeding. Profuse bleeding. That's no bueno. Normally, when a creature that has regeneration gets the profuse bleeding, that's the end of it. Because the bleed just counteracts so much. Oh, he actually stopped bleeding. He staunched the wound. Wow. Did he just kill? I think he just killed the Articuno. Oh, fucking Ecruteak. Holy shit, man. Alright, let's just speed this up. He's actually healing. Oh, no, no, no. Yep, he is legitimately healing. And before he just times Ecruteak out. That legitimately... Did that happen? Did he just time Ekrutik out? Cyanwood City attacked Eku... No, he killed him. Okay. Alright, well... Anyways, we're not gonna sit and watch that for eternity. Ramatamaphone was discovered and attacked. We don't care about that. Stinking enemy was discovered and attacked. Fine, whatever. Okay, so the fortification in Lombaria, Lilidor, Dreyer Caverns, and Curtain Wall has been breached. We have cured some afflictions, cured some diseases. There's no supplies in Lombaria, Trinspor, and Curtain Wall, so we're getting more and more diseases, and we got some more promotions. Okay, so really what this turn is this turn is the prep for next turn. So let's finally take a look at all of the... These are the finals, right? What are we doing this turn? And we'll get the simple stuff out of the way. So we are over here in Trinspor. We are claiming the throne. With Zinville, we are attacking in Curtain Wall, even though it doesn't matter. I was off by 1 turn here, but, you know, might as well go ahead. We are storming the castle in Lilidor, and we are storming the castle in Dreyer Caverns. If we are successful, so if we take a look at the Thrones of Ascension right now, I have 1, 2, 3. He has 1, 2, 3. He has... just taken Urfel from me. Okay, so I'm kind of expecting him to claim that. So if he claims Urfel, he goes up to 4. If I win in if I claim Trinspor, I go up to 4. If I win in either Lilidor or in Dreyer Caverns, he goes down to 3, and I have more thrones than him. Now, this wasn't something that was officially agreed upon. It was just an idea thrown out there as like a semi-tiebreaker of if someone wins in one place, if someone wins in one battle and loses in the other battle, then thrones could be a tiebreaker. It's kind of irrelevant. It's just this extra side mini game that's going on. No big deal. But so that's what's going on there. And there's really nothing overly interesting happening there as far as makeups go. These are mostly just unit battles, except for over here with Ishtara and Nabu, right? I'm just hoping he ain't got it. I'm just hoping he ain't got it, basically. Okay, so let's talk about the actual battles themselves. So in Mag, this is the big battle. Okay, this is the big battle. So let's go over this. We've got the final little crew coming up. Hintal, Latena, some battle girls, right? So these are literally just items being put on whoever I possibly can get them on to get them into the battle. There's nothing happening here. Basic spells, just adding some Hitmon Lees into the mix, whatever. Okay, and that is much the same with all of these battle girls, right, that are coming into, that are here already or coming into Mag. I'm just adding Hitmonlees into the mix. That's the idea, right? In Mag already are some small groups of these fire black belts, okay? And these guys are going to add a decent little mix to everything. We've got 15 here already. So that is 15 Hitmon tops, and jeez. It's, shit, math hard. It's 75 Tie Rogues. So, I've gotten to the point to where I kind of like these guys, because, like, Tie Rogues, of course, aren't that great, but when you're doing massive battlefield buffs, they're not horrible. The biggest downside to them at that point is that they just have very low HP. So they're just gonna get wiped by battlefield evocations, which is probably what's gonna happen to the vast majority of my armies. So that's where we got in the Mag, and then over here we are bringing. So our final team going into the Verdant Steppe is going to be a Ampharos champion, an Articuno, a Steelix, a Kyogre, a Regice, and a Latios, which means we're taking Robior, right, the Hitmonchan champion, is going to head into Mag. So let's take a look at what they're doing real quick. Again, the Battle Girl Rubies have items just because they were my item carriers. We've used all the items, or set the items as we want them, so they're literally just they're delivering Hitmonchans into the mix. Robior, the Hitmonchan champion, is going to do some basic buffing. Summon, Earth Power, Temper Flush, Quicken Self, Fire Shield, Flight, because he actually has like a very weird mix of spells. And then he's going to attack rear. He has a Crown of Titans, which makes him a little larger, right? So he's going to be a size 4. He's got a Dancing Trident, an Alchemist's Stone, and an Amulet of Anti-Magic, which only takes his magic resistance up to 13, by the way. That is abysmal. That is absolutely abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. Hitmonchan champions absolutely need a buff. But anyway, so that's all of the kind of like auxiliary forces heading into Mag. Here's the big force. Oh my goodness. This is over 1,000 units. And it's probably just gonna die. So let's look at what we've actually got. I'm not gonna go through absolutely everything that we have, because there's just so much, but I will talk about kind of like the general timelines. There's a whole bunch of gems just all over the place on everyone, basically because I brought all of my gems. So there's just a whole lot of gems ready and available to be used by everyone. So I'll try to talk about like the kind of important things, okay? So like this is not important. It's just a random mage that's going to be Earth 3 and casting Maws of the Earth. Great, fantastic. We've got Eggira, who is buffed in water, casting Warriors of Niflheim, and then casting a bunch of Wave Warriors, right? Hopefully to affect a decent amount of people. The -4 strength is going to get compensated by the Rush of Strength, hopefully. This is going to give all those targets Slash, Blunt, Pierce Resistance, and +1 Wound Fend. So that's kind of a nice thing that we're going to try for. We've got a bunch of Quickening spam going out by a number of characters, like a number of our Water 2s are just doing Quickening spam. Okay. We've got a Communion Master that is going to be doing Power of the Spheres and then spamming out Enslave Mine. Okay. Chuck, big boy Chuck, is doing Divine Blessing, Fanaticism, Divine Channeling, Earth Power, Temper Flesh. And then he is set to cast spells. Okay. Why am I doing this, and why am I doing this in this order? I'm doing Divine Blessing first and foremost because our bless includes, at this point in time, we take a look at it. Our bless includes +4 magic resistance, okay? So making sure that all of our sacred units have +4 magic resistance is incredibly important right now. They have a base magic resistance of 9. If he brings something like Master Enslave to the battlefield, he could absolutely just enslave the vast majority of my army almost immediately. So that's why Divine Blessing is coming out first and foremost. Now this is going to be layered by multiple other things, right? I'm going to try and do Fighting Field. I'm going to try to do Anti-Magic. Now those don't stack, but it's basically, I'm just trying to put redundancy in there. Hopefully, with the combination of Divine Blessing and Fighting Field / Anti-Magic / shit, what's the other one? Army of Lead, right? Hopefully, those redundant buffs are going to make sure that the majority of my units, and especially my sacred units, are able to resist something like a Master Enslave. Okay? Fanaticism is next up because I'm worried about Wailing Winds. So, Fanaticism is a battlefield-wide sermon of courage. I don't want my entire army to get Wailing Winds and routed. I actually went back and forth on this, like which was I more worried about. I think it's much more likely that he's going to bring Wailing Winds to the battlefield, but I am more worried about about Master and Slave just immediately taking my whole army than I am about Wailing Winds immediately routing my whole army. And that's because my morale on most units is okay. Not great, but it's okay. Because most of my units have pretty high experience, and experience gives a decent morale bonus. They are all starving, which is why it's actually as low as it is. This is kind of amusing, right? It would be significantly higher on most of these units, but they are starving. So I'm a little more worried about Master and Slave and the like than I am by Wailing Winds. Okay, and then Divine Channeling. We have a bunch of priests coming into this fight, so Divine Channeling is just going to add to their capabilities, and everything else afterwards. Summon Earth just turns him into an Earth 5, and Temper Flesh is just for survivability. He can do whatever he wants after that. I have on Chuck, I have put the Sword of Many Colors, which gives him +1 to all elemental paths, which is what he has, basically. So very cool. He's got a Crown of Command, a Robe of Shadows, Boots of Quickness, Amulet of Anti-Magic, and of Regeneration. So he should be sitting pretty to survive this battle, hopefully. All right, and of course he has the bulk of, I say the bulk of an army. He's got nearly 300 units. We've got over 1,000 units here. So he's got close to a third of our units. Or at least he's got a quarter of our units. Again, more quickening, more Maws of the Earth, right? We've got a minor contingent of Flareons here that are at the very front with our Arcanines. We've got a bunch of Furrets here that aren't probably going to do much, but once buffed, they can get in and cause some issue, maybe. Who knows? We've got some Shield Cadabras that aren't probably going to accomplish anything. Okay, we've got... This little lady is actually doing something important. She is doing Wind Guide. That does make all friendly units shoot more accurately. Most of the Pokemon have air shield at this point, so that's kind of we kind of like have a very massive mischance from the very beginning. I think a good amount of Pokemon have at least air shield 50, which is kind of crazy. But Wind Guide, we have a lot of firepower, and Wind Guide's hopefully going to help that. I don't think it's gonna I don't think this is gonna make a huge difference, but maybe it will, so we'll see. And then Thunder Strike spamming. Rex is here, and Rex is doing Warriors of Muspelheim, and then he is summoning Earth Power and doing Phoenix Power, Phoenix Pyre, Temper Flesh, and then he is set to cast spells. I'm hoping that he is just going to lace into people. He's got way more gems than he needs. Maybe he summons some fire elementals. Maybe he starts dropping fire evocations. We don't have a bunch of high-level ones, but we'll see. More Summon Earth Power Maws of the Earth. And why are we doing so much Summon Earth Power Maws of the Earth? So we're doing so much Summon Earth Power Maws of the Earth because this can actually hit a good chunk of his unit. If he brings a bunch of, like... I'm anticipating a bunch of Rhyhorns and the champions and stuff like that. And now, they're probably going to break free from this. But this is still like a pretty decent like AoE hit, right? And it to my knowledge, it kind of ignores everything, right? It's a precision shot, right? But if you're in the AoE, you don't get a roll for it or anything like that. You just get hit. So it's 15 armor-piercing damage for a lot of these units, which I think is going to be a big deal. Hopefully is going to be a big deal. We'll see. More Communion Slaves, more Battle Girl Rubies. We've got Lepia over here who has a Thistle Mace and a Cornucopia, and she's just swarm casting. As we can. We've got Rod, who is our newest, I think our newest Black Belt Traveler. He's just over here with a Summon Earth Power, Phoenix Pyre, Temper Flesh, Iron Flesh, and set to cast spells. 2 Mercenaries, more Sermon of Courage spam, and this is to help kind of like counteract Wailing Winds if we don't get Fanaticism off in time. Wanda's over here with all of the Arcanines who are out front and set to attack rear. and a bunch of the shield alakazams, which are set on fire archers. We got more quickening spam. And yeah, I know like a lot of this isn't gonna work, but I copied the script, and if it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work. I don't care. Like they're just gonna cast something else that I don't care about anyways. We've got our Vaporeons and our Glaceons. Another Merc troop. We've got our Apums and our randomly acquired Meteorite guards. They're fire large monsters. Now the Apums actually have. Oh, I guess they don't. I was thinking it was. So we have, again, going back to the kind of like that wind guide. We have a fair amount of ranged attacks, right, coming out between our mass of Amphiroses, our Glaceons, our Hypnos. So I'm kind of hopeful that that wind guide's gonna help us out there. We have Ininu here, and he is summoning Earth Power, Weapons of Sharpness, setting himself, buffing himself, and then attacking. Okay, so Ininu is outfitted with a Scutata Volturnus, Dwarven Hammer because it's the weapon that I had, and then a bunch of other gear, mostly magic resistance gear. Okay. Got more chaff. We've got another Communion Master with Phoenix Power, Flaming Arrows. Again, just potentially going to add to some of the mix. I don't know if... Yeah, it won't affect magical weapons, so I think this probably isn't going to do much for anybody. I think this might do something like for the Apums, right? Because I don't think Swift is a magic weapon. So this is just kind of a random chance. I have no idea if this will actually help anybody. We've got Communion Master Doom coming out. We've got Communion Master Anti-Magic coming out. We've got Venna over here, who's pretty outfitted with Frostfind, Wave Warriors, spam. Okay. We've got another Communion Master with Will of the Fates coming out. We've got another Communion Master with Light of the Northern Star coming out. We have Simios, who's outfitted. Why do I keep saying? Because I keep wanting to say kitted out, and then I say out-kitted instead of outfitted. We have Simios, who is doing Army of Lead, Earth Power, Temper Flesh, Iron Skin, Weapons of Sharpness, and attacking. So this is gonna be our Army of Lead cast. Should be pretty good. We have Lamashtu with Sabbath Master, Rush of Strength, Reinvigoration, Purify Blood, and then Reinvigoration again. So this is hopefully gonna keep our communions fresh. More chaff. We have Pyriflogos, he's up front here with the Arcanines and the Flareons. And he is going to do Fire Fiend, Phoenix Power, Phoenix Pyre, Fire Shield, and Attack Rear. He is outfitted with a Gate Cleaver. Oh my goodness, I need more coffee. So hopefully he can do a pretty good job. Fingers crossed. We have one of our Kokithiids, who has a Skull Staff and a Skull Face to give her Death Mage, Death 5. Who's doing Life After Death, which is hopefully going to be a big deal for us. I know he has it on an artifact. So Life After Death, Invulnerability, and then Shadow Blast spam. We've got Tarbal here as a Communion Master. He's going to be doing Power of the Spheres, Body Ethereal, Personal Luck, and I'm hoping, I don't know if this is actually going to work, but I'm hoping he's going to end by casting Arcane Domination. This is a very high fatigue cost, but it enslaves magical beings. And my hope in adding this to the very end is that... So it requires, you have to be, I think you have to be Astral 7, right? Which is why he has a skull cap on and a crystal on. But if he is in a communion, he should be able to cast Arcane Domination. And if there have been a whole bunch of summons, if we have a bunch of magical beings out on the field at that point, then this might be a good way to turn the tide for us. Probably not, but I'm just kind of casting whatever I can cast at this. Thula is here with Fog Warriors, very big deal. Arrowfend, decent deal, and then Living Cloud spam. Inu is here with Summon Earth Power, Temper Flush, Iron Skin, Weapons of Sharpness, Blade Wind, and then Attack. He is outfitted with some basic gear. He's got the boots, winged boots, actually. Arathras is casting Fighting Field, Ground Army, Temper Flesh, Iron Skin, Living Earth. Set to cast spells. Got a Coral Blade and some basic gear. He's got a bunch of our other units. Basically, he's got 93 units. All of our Polyraths, which are the line behind our Arcanines. We've got Ayla doing Mists of Deception, and this is basically a summons spell, so phantasms are going to appear constantly. It's kind of like the air version of Howl. But the higher an air caster you are, the higher level you are, the more phantasms you get. So we're going to do Mists of Deceptions, Thunderfen, and then a bunch of Living Clouds. Got some more Chaff. Got Ura over here with more of our Eevee Chaff, Leafeons, and Umbreons. And then, last but definitely not least, at the bottom we have our Fairy Queen, who's got a shit ton of nature gems, and she's got a bunch of things to cast, but I don't think she's actually going to get through all. First and foremost, we've got Mass Regeneration, then Relief, right? Serpent's Blessing, Howl, and Army of Rats. I wish I had 2 more Fairy Queens. If I had 2 regrets about this entire game, it's that I didn't get more fucking nature gems. My nature income, even at the end of the game, was abysmal. And the second regret is, of course, not just bull rushing Olivine City as soon as I started fighting them. Because fuck me, I could have. And that probably would have changed things. Oh, fuck. Okay, so, big deal here, big deal. Mass Regeneration and Relief, at the very least, should be very big factors for us. Serpent's Blessing, less so, but hopefully it'll go off and hopefully it'll help us. Howl, I don't think it's even going to go off, because I think at this point, right, each of these is 2, 1, 1. He definitely has enough nature gems, but I think this turn's already happened, so I don't know. I'm never. I think I've talked about this before. I think this is probably one of the things that I want to see the most in a Dominion 6. I want more control over my casts, right? If this is Mass Regeneration, right, and it takes 2 nature gems to cast this, I want to be able to come in here and say, okay, Brisei, the Fairy Queen, you have 20 nature gems. I want you to cast Mass Regeneration with 3 of them. And I want you to come in here and I want you to cast Relief with 3 nature gems. Now I want you to come in here and I want you to cast Serpent's Howl with 3 nature gems. I want you to come in here and I want you to cast Howl with 6 nature gems. I want to be able to select the specific amount of gems, because the control between conservative and not conservative feels like it feels like the AI just doesn't give a shit some of the times. Sometimes when you're on conservative and you have a bunch of gems like this, the AI will be like, okay, I will only use the number of gems I need to cast this spell. And that's great, because that's what I feel like conservative's supposed to do. It's supposed to mean, when this option is set, no unscripted spell costing gems will be cast, and the mage will use fewer or no gems in order to reduce fatigue from spells. So sometimes that happens. More often than not, what I see happen is it goes, oh, this is Mass Regeneration, it costs 200 fatigue, and it costs 2 gems. I'm going to cast this, I have 20 gems, I'm going to cast this with 6 gems. Okay, and then it'll be relief. Oh, I'm going to cast this with 6 gems. Oh, Serpent's Blessing? I'm going to cast this with 6 gems. Oh, I can't cast Howl anymore. And you're like, well, fuck. You know? So it's that scenario of, I wish you had more precise control over the casting. Especially, look, it's the scenario of, like, you only have 5 things to script. Give me precise control over those five things, and then the script is done. The battle has become too chaotic, and everything is out of your control from there. But let me specify the few things that I can. Let me control those few things to the nitty-gritty. But anyways, so that is this big blob of units. Here's my prediction. And this is also something that I'm going to throw this out here. I think we're going to lose in Mag 28. I think we're going to lose in Mag 28 because we are Evocation 6. I think we could do Wrathful Skies, and we probably should do Wrathful Skies. But I think we are going to get hit with Wrathful Skies. And I think we are going to get hit with Flamestorm. And things like that. I think we're basically going to get hit with a bunch of battlefield evocations. And I think it's going to wreck us. That is probably that's one of the reasons why I've spent so much on doing things like Warriors of Niflheim and Ground Army and things like that, right? Is because I'm hoping to negate some of that stuff. I'm trying to go the route of super buffing my army rather than super toasting my enemy's army. But I do not think that is going to work in the long run. I think if I had an extra turn, this army probably would have been with the other one. And we might be able to win at that point, right? I'm not sure, though. I also think, again, if I had more fucking nature gems from the very beginning, and this is, I'm assuming here, right? But if I had more nature gems, I would have more supply gear. Because I think the fact that most of our army is starving is going to come into play. And that's unfortunate, but there's not really anything that I can do about it. There was never really anything that I could do about it. So, I mean, I say that. I could have been way more proactive in trying to trade with other players for nature gems. I had really good incomes in other stuffs that I basically just threw about. But that's something that I probably could have and should have done. But it is what it is. So this is the big army. This is what's going into Mag 28 next turn. And we will see what happens. I think we've got a lot of stuff coming out. But my concern is a lot of the good stuff, like Will of the Fates and stuff like that, is coming out of very fragile units, and I think they're just gonna die. I think we're gonna get evocationed, and some of the units that I really need to live, I think are just gonna die. And then I think we're gonna hold on for a long time, and we're gonna do a whole lot of work, and then eventually we're just gonna get popped. So we'll see. All right. Onwards, down to the... So that's the big battle. That's the army battle in 28. What about our Pokemon champion battle? Let's take a look specifically at each one of these units. So we have Ampharos, Formoric, the Ampharos champion. We have Topagog, the Articuno. We have Hadad, the Steelix champion. We have Zadok Gla, the Kyogre. We have Dragol, the Regice. And we have Hrugner, the Latios. Okay, so let's check our gear. We have been very careful to have no double ups. So on Fomoric, the Ampharos champion, we have a copper arm, giving him 1 weapon slot, and in that we have the Summit, which is one of the freaking hardest hitting single-handed weapon in the game. We just made this last turn. It hits like a freaking truck. Armor piercing, 28 damage, pretty high attack, right? 24 attacks, so very likely to hit. Pretty good defense, actually. So we've got a winged helmet, a ring of wizardry, and a bag of winds on the Ampharos champion, which is giving him air 5, and we have a shit ton of personal gem. Why are we doing that? We're doing that because we're gonna fog warriors everything. So this is part of my hopeful ace in the hole is that we fog warriors everything, and then we just fuck him. I don't think that's gonna happen. Because a hit from a magical source can cancel the mist form, right? So that's my assumption is that we're just gonna get fog warriors is just gonna get popped, but more likely is he just gets like enslaved because he has incredibly low magic resistance. So we're also gonna do temper flesh, quicken self, summon earth power, and flight. Now he is not set on conservative magic usage. So my hope is that he goes, oh, fog warriors, 3 gems, here's 30. Obviously. So, you know, I hope he's just gonna cast fog warriors and have 0 fatigue afterwards, right? And then buff himself up to where he is making 2 attacks, bunch of pretty high damage attacks, mostly banking on the summit, and then he flies into the back line and assassinates someone. That's the hope, right? Okay, next up we have Topagog. Topagog is outfitted with the Helmet of Dawn, which gives magic resistance +2, awe, and affliction resistance. Lodestone Amulet, Water Bracelet, and Storm Spools. The Storm Spool is just because it's there. Whatever. I guess in fairness, Articuno had a 5 vulnerability to shock, so the Storm Spool kind of helps counteract that. He's a Water 6 with this gear, and he's got 22 magic resistance, which I think magic resistance MR is going to be the important thing in this battle, I think. And he's doing Liquid Body on himself, and then Warriors of Niflheim, so fire resistance buff, and then he's just going to spam Living Water, and he's set to cast spells. He's also set off to the side. Keep in mind that Articuno cast Winds of Winter at the start of the battle. So, Winds of Winter means that everyone is going to be taking fatigue damage unless they have cold resistance, okay? And Regice, right, casts Frostfend at the beginning of turn. So all of my people are going to have cold resistance, okay? I'm hopeful that that is going to factor in, but I don't think it's really going to make too much of a difference. Articuno has a billion water gems. My hope is that he's just going to Living Water spam the shit out of things. And Living Water, I think, actually might have the ability to have some staying power amongst all of these champions, because water elementals are actually kind of scary. Okay, next up we have Hadad. And Hadad is outfitted with the Lead Shield, Firebrand, Crown of Overmight, and this I think is a big deal. Crown of Overmight, Robe of Shadows, Boots of Quickness, Ring of Regeneration, Flask of Holy Water. So automatically blessed, regenerating a billion hit points. He's quickened, he's ethereal, he's got very high magic resistance, right? All but impossible for him to get fucking enslaved or soul slayed or charmed, and he is going to be auto charming creatures that get close to. And I think this is gonna miss a billion times. It's going to miss over and 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 over. But I think this is probably gonna be a long battle, and I think it only has to hit once. I think as soon as it hits, once it hits once, I think it's gonna swing the battle in our favor severely, right? Because I think some of these champions are just gonna die very early on in the fight. Very early on in the fight, I think some of the champions are going to die, and then we're going to have a bunch of very resilient champions hanging out, like smacking each other repeatedly, and all I need is Charm to click once, and I think it swings in my favor. So Hadad is going to be doing Summon Earth Power, Army of Lead, and he is on, use all your gems, fuck it. Iron Will, Iron Skin, Temper Flesh, just again to make him as resistant to everything as he possibly can be. Army of Lead's gonna make us more susceptible to shock, but it is going to give us magic resistance. That's kind of the plan there. More magic resistance for everyone. The protection buff is also going to be a big deal for some people, for Latios and the Articuno. But otherwise, fine. And he's out in front, just slightly in front of everyone else, because he's going to tank. We have Zadok Glah, who has an Iron Face. That's why his protection's so high. An Amulet of Anti-Magic, Moonvine Bracelet, and a Ring of Frost. So, decently high protection, decently high magic resistance. Not great, but decent. And he's going to be doing Power of the Spheres, Mass Regeneration, Relief, Serpent's Blessing, and Foul Vapors. He should be able to cast all of this without any real issue. Has enough gems, but he might not get it through everything. So Power of the Spheres is just to kind of get him up and allow him to cast these other things more easily. Also to hopefully keep him from getting, I don't know, I don't think there's a good concept for someone coming in and magic dueling, but I think, like, he's got a Mew, at least, and I think he's got a Mew too. So, in theory, and he knows some of the things I have, so I'm concerned that he might come in and be like, it's worthwhile for me to just magic duel a bunch. Because if I have someone that's like Astral 9, it's basically impossible for them to lose the magic duel. So he could pop my Latios, he could pop my Kyogre, he could nope, that's pretty much it. But still, that's instantly, like, back to back, that's 2 people gone, 2 champions gone. So I don't think there's much I can do to stop that. Power of the Spheres is one of those things that I can try. We'll see how it goes. Mass Regeneration, of course, to get my regeneration on everyone. Relief to hopefully help counteract any of the Winds of Winter that comes out. And just to hopefully give us staying power. Serpent's Blessing, and then Foul Vapors. I don't think Foul Vapors is going to be enough poison damage to actually hurt any of these champions. But there's the possibility that someone on his side doesn't have poison resistance, and this actually starts ticking on them and kills them. So. Next up we have Dragol, the Regice, who has a Crown of Lead, Burning Pearl, Braces of Protection, and a Stone Burn. Regice has kind of got the leftovers of a lot of the gear. It's got pretty low magic resistance comparatively. However, he is going to be doing Summon Earth Power, Ground Army, Fighting Field. Now, we've got anti-magic going already, so I don't think this is going to matter, but he is basically our redundancy here. Temper Flesh, and then Living Water. So he has a bunch of water gems as well. He also has a bunch of earth gems, so he might start spamming earth elementals. He might start spamming water elementals. I don't really know. I don't really care. Just trying to add something to the mix. And he, at this point, was a better unit to use than the Hitmonchan champion was. Last but not least, we have Hrugner, the Latios, who has a Starshine Skullcap, a Dancing Shield, a Bottle of Living Water, and a Pendant of Luck. Very low production. This is going to get buffed by our lead, our Army of Lead. Decent magic resistance. We are going to be... Why is he invisible? We are going to be casting right out of the gates anti-magic. And don't forget, Latios casts Quickening in a decently sized AoE, so I'm hoping it's going to hit all of these. If it does, great. If it doesn't, that's fine. The one unit that I really want Quickening on, I am casting Quicken Self on, so fine. But we're going to be casting anti-magic right out of the gate. Because, again, I think he's got Mew and Mewtwo, so it's possible that he comes into this and just tries to Master Enslave me. So we'll see how that goes. Then we've got Power of the Spheres, again, to kind of try to maybe defend ourselves against some sort of trickery, like Magic Duel or something. Will of the Fates, just to give everyone luck, which could be very helpful. Liquid Body, and then Body Ethereal. and then a billion astral pearls. So this is the champion battle. I feel decent about this because I think we've got. So here's the way I kind of see it going. I think more than likely, what's gonna happen is he's gonna come in with something like Master and Slave and or a magic duel trick or something like that, and I'm immediately gonna lose like 1 or 2 units, right? Which I think is gonna fuck me, and I think I'm gonna lose. Alternatively, if he doesn't do something like that, right? I think pretty early on we're going to end up losing like our Ampharos champion and maybe like a Kyogre or a Latios, but then trading for some of his weaker champions, right? And then I think over the course of a very long drawn out fight, eventually Haddad's charm is going to proc, and that's going to swing the fight for us, and then we're going to win. Another alternative is that everything kind of goes as it was expected. You know, like I lose a Kyogre or a Latios or someone pretty early on, the Articuno pretty early on. But Omoric, the Ampharos champion, goes through his whole buff cycle, and he lands behind the weakest, like, caster that he has in the back line, and he goes Summit, and that caster just dies. And then he walks up to the next person and goes Summit, and that person just dies. Because keep in mind, most of the champions actually do not have a crazy amount of hit points, right? 45, 64, 50, 60, 30. It's just the Steelixes that have like bonkers HP at 240, right? So even a champion that has very high protection and is very robust, getting attacked twice by an armor-piercing 41 damage hit that has 24 attack skill, so it's probably gonna hit. That's potentially gonna fuck somebody. So those are kind of like the possibilities I see it going. I feel good about our champion battle. I actually do. I feel pretty good about our champion battle. I do not feel good about our big army battle. I think we're gonna get squashed there. But that's it. I've been talking for close to an hour. I've probably missed a bunch of details that do matter and talked about a bunch of details that don't matter. But this is it. This is the big deal. Next turn. I'll see you then. Bye, everybody.